Hello everybody, welcome to Alternative Interactions again. I'm Gary and you find me on another walk, as is my way. Again, it's a nice sunny day, so let's get the corporate bit out first, shall we? Please like, share and subscribe. As to my updating babble yesterday, believe it or not, we actually have the chemtrailing planes out and they are blocking out the sky today in the sun as quickly as possible, so I thought I'd get about earlier than normal. It's a little bit chillier with the wind, but yeah, they're trying their best to take the sun out today, full on chemtrails. So there we go, we talked it up yesterday, didn't we? You can also hear a fast jet above us. By fast jet I mean military. So it looks like Biggles is having his revenge from yesterday. Very funny. So yeah, I'm in another wooded glade. This one's, although it's the same kind of, it's kind of connected really, but it's a good few miles down the road from the other place. Although it's connected, it's got a slightly more diverse forest in places, which is nice. There we go. So yeah, it's a nice place to be. Don't know if you can hear the bird song above the jet, but it's somewhere I used to live very close to. I'm still close to it, but I used to live right on this. You know, it was a 5-minute walk from my house, and during the lockdown, my son and I spent a lot of time in these woods, walking and just being out in nature. Lovely. So it was kind of a sanctuary, which is always nice. Now, I've babbled enough for the start of the video. So today I'm going to talk about cryptos, money, cryptos. I've been asked several times about cryptos, and it's a subject I've avoided, really, because I'm really not keen. I'm not a fan, really not a fan. Now remember, I'm no financial expert. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. If you wish to get proper financial advice, go and see somebody and pay them lots of money to do so. But this is just me rambling and opinion, my understanding of the financial system and how it works, and my thoughts on it. So, you know, I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything. I never would. It's not my job to. That's for you guys to do, to decide. It's your money. You make the decision. This video really comes in mind because I had a very good, nearly a 2 hour and a half, 2 hour conversation really, with a friend of mine about this kind of thing, and they've got cryptos. They're very switched on. They know what's going on, and I'm not going to divulge what the chat was about or the outcome of the chat, but I just gave him some information to think about, and I suppose this is what I'm going to be doing with you guys, if you're interested. But this is my thoughts on crypto, and it's just my thoughts, you know, entertainment purposes only, obviously. Please read the disclaimer in my channel. You'll see that I've covered my arse on that one, as you have to these days. So yeah, my thoughts. Well, first of all, the only real money in the world, if we're talking money, is gold and silver. And we are seeing that at the moment with the amount of gold being purchased by central banks around the world, and America, I think, it's basically had record amounts of gold flowing into. So America's always been an exporter of gold, fundamentally very rarely a major importer. I think for the last couple of months America has imported more gold, or more gold has come back to America than ever before. So that's quite an interesting one. Now, in our current situation in life, monetary wise, although the sun's coming out, beautiful, haven't quite quashed it yet. In our current system, monetary wise, although you won't be told this ever, and why would you be, every single currency, paper, piece of paper, you know, dollar, paper pound, whatever, yuan, you know, yen, anything that's paper, dong, a ding, you know, Australian dollar, whatever your currency, Canadian dollar, obviously, or everybody from Canada, is a derivative of gold. So again, what do I mean by derivative? What I mean is that gold is the only real money, and the currency value of the notes is set against the gold. Now, for terminology wise, I will be calling the money, as in the paper money we have, fiat. It's fiat is I can't remember the full name now, but it's really the name for the money, as in the paper money that we have. It's part of the fractional reserve banking system, and it's a token that has no real value at all on anything. It's valueless, in fact, because it's not backed by anything. So we'll call the cash in our pockets fiat money. Fake money, but we'll call it fiat. And then we have the real money, which is gold and silver. Don't forget silver. 3,000 years silver's been currency, real money. It's only since 1887, I think, that silver was messed with completely, and the good old monetary cabal took it over, started playing with it and manipulating it. So before we go on to crypto, I really want you guys to understand, or get in your head, that the fiat money you have, the paper money around the world, everywhere, is a derivative of gold. So the only true money, the basis of all money in the world, is gold. There's no substitute, none. Be very, very clear about that one. That is non-negotiable. So yeah, we have everything. Now, stocks and shares are actually derivatives of gold and values of current of let's take a side, because obviously you've got the sun. Let's go down one of these big old side roads. I say side roads, they're not really, but it's kind of a grid system. It's a fairly breezy day today as well, but with a little bit of experience with the microphone, I know that you can hear me fine, which is awesome. So so the stock market, the stocks and shares are a derivative of gold. They're valued against. Now, no, not necessarily directly, but they certainly are valued against, because the dollar is valued against gold. Even though they're not on the gold standard anymore, even though Nixon in 1971 took America off the gold standard, and technically America went into default. That's right, default. America's been in default of their agreement from the Bricks and Stratton agreement since 1971. And the reason they went off the gold standard was because the banks, the Federal Reserve, private bank, the private banks, they're all private banks, don't get mislaid, don't get misapprehension of we own, the people own anything. We don't, we own nothing financially wise. The banks created a debt bubble, as they always do, and the amount of gold held by America would not cover its debts. America was also holding gold for other countries, and if I'm remembering the story correctly, France demanded its gold back in the physical, and America told them to jog on. So France sent a warship, to America, and the gold was duly released. And at that point, the bankers, the cabal, knew the game was up. That they didn't have enough gold in America to cover the debts. There would be a run and there'd be a collapse. So Nixon was told to, let's be fair, Nixon is no different to a puppet of any of the other kind of puppets, Remember, all presidents or prime ministers are selected, not elected. Very different thing. So Nixon was told to take America off the gold standard, and so did. Now, what you're saying is that any of this got to do is we're babbling now for 13 minutes about gold and not crypto. Well, you have to understand where we've been to know where we're going and where we are currently. Now, if we take a very brief look at the stock market, if we take a company like Apple, that's in the American stock market, Apple is worth trillions. I think if there's like the Magnificent Seven, so whether you understand this or not, but the top 7 stocks in America are keeping America afloat and the world afloat, actually. 7. Always number 7, isn't it? But there's 7 major companies. They call them the Magnificent Seven. Let's go down here. And these 7 companies are the stock market. They're the only ones making any, I say making any money, given the illusion of fiat money currency making some. A bit tricky down here, it's quite a narrow path. There we go. So yeah, but the point is these 7 companies, if you add the value of them in the stock market up, well exceed the total holdings of gold in the USA. So I'll say that again. I think Apple, for instance, is worth 3 times the amount of physical gold held by the United States. 3 times. Could even be more than that. I'm being conservative. These are figures I've heard bandied around, and I'm trying to repeat them. But you can check these figures out. Work out how much value of gold is held by the United States of America in Fort Knox, if it's even in there. And then you can work out the value, or check out the value of Apple and the other top companies. But let's, for argument's sake, if Apple's worth 3 times what the American economy has in gold, America itself as a country, as a corporation, and there's 7 of them, let's be realistic and very conservative, that the stock market has 15 times more value than all the gold in America. Now, 15 times more value than all the gold in America, and yet everything should be a derivative of gold, 1 to 1, and that just in one, there we go, one financial sector that we have, just one financial sector, we're at least 15 times over the base intrinsic value of gold. And that's not including debts, the amount of money that's floating, fiat money that's floating around in America. It's none of that. It's just pure debt on the stock market. And that's quite a big one. It's a very big one. Now, what this tells me is that should we get any difficulties within the fiat currency, those companies, the stock market that's held by the people, will in fact be devalued totally. I didn't really want to come that way. That takes us out of the forest. The walk along the road. I don't think we want to walk along the main road. So yeah, it's that should ring alarm bells for everybody. And the crypto is exactly the same. Now we have XRP and XLM. I think XRP is allegedly backed by gold, and XRP is backed by gold and XLM by silver. And yet we know that just the stock market is 15 times overvalued to gold ratio, 15 times more, let alone the fiat currency in circulation, if there was a collapse or a revaluation, the RV, what we would have is trillions, billions and trillions of dollars worth of fiat dollars claims worth on the physical assets. That's not including what's inside the banks or not. So you can see how precarious the whole system is. It's top heavy. It's an inverted pyramid, in fact. Now, crypto. As I said, the XL M&Ps are meant to be backed by a bit of silver and a bit of gold. Well, in the markets, there's 200 gold certificates for every physical ounce of gold. So we're already 15 times over on you know, for every physical ounce of gold, there's 200 claims to it, individual claims. 200 organisations, people, countries, for every ounce of physical gold. And for silver, it's even worse. It's between 600 and 800. So for every physical ounce of silver allegedly held in the banks, the bullion banks, COMEX, London's Bullion Metal Exchange, LBMA, they're claiming that they hold X amount of silver and gold, but they've actually sold it and leased it out many times. So we have a pyramid, an inverted pyramid of monetary system that's top heavy. And at some point, if we use the analogy of the camel, the straw that broke the camel's back, the camel was overloaded. The camel had far too much weight on its back, and the camel had one more straw placed upon its back and it collapsed. And that's exactly where we are. Just waiting for that last piece of straw to go on the camel's back, which is the financial system. Now, cryptos. Cryptos are a derivative of gold. We talked about stock market briefly, giving a very brief overview. Very brief overview of the fiat dollars in America. We'll face this on America, because America is the reserve currency of the world currently. Now, all the crypto in the world is a derivative of the dollar, which is a derivative of gold. And by dollar, I'm talking about the fiat dollar, the notes, the ones and zeros on a computer. Again, please check out my previous money stuff, because I also talk about money creation out of fresh air. So a lot of the money, the fiat money that you're holding in your pocket, was actually created out of thin air. Particularly when you're paying on a credit card or a debit card, there is no actual physical money. There's no real money at all. It's a credit transaction between one computer and another. And all that credit transaction between one computer and another does is put you in more debt. Part of the debt slavery system. All connected to the straw man. So, cryptos are a derivative of the dollar, which is a derivative of gold. And you're going to say to me, no, not Gary. They're different. Okay, how are they different? Please explain to me how they're different. How do you count the value of your crypto? Is it in chocolate bars? Is it in houses? Is it in wood, lumber, bricks? So if we take a figure of $100,000 for Bitcoin, that's $100,000 fiat dollars. Same with every single crypto. It has a dollar denomination. A big word for a man with bad teeth. Let's put them back in again. So they are all valued against the dollar. A worthless piece of paper, backed by unicorn farts and pixie dust. So there's my first big worry, first big red flag. That crypto, all cryptos are valued against a dollar. So that actually makes them a derivative of the dollar. Okay, so just as the fiat dollar is a derivative of gold, and should be, which is over hypothecated, that means oversold again and again and again. What we also have is another rehypothecation of, or another selling of, a money creational system out of fresh air of crypto, because no crypto is backed by anything tangible. So I shall say that again. No crypto is backed by anything tangible. I'll keep on walking up this way. The further I walk up, the further I've got to walk back. When I've finished, I might even do another little part 2-ish one or something, you never know. And I can only do 40 minutes at a time on the phone before it decides that I've done too much and cuts me off. So there we go. So let's repeat that again. Gold is money. The fiat dollar is a derivative of gold that should be pegged 1-to-1. Tangent time. So in the 1920s in America, $20 would purchase a full ounce of gold. The gold standard was set $20 to an ounce of gold. So you could go into any bank, any establishment. It's probably better that way, isn't it? Try and hold this steady with my left hand. You could go into any establishment, any bank, around the world in fact, with $20 or a subsidiary of $20, you could then buy your ounce of gold. And today, if you went into the Federal Reserve or any bank and asked them to buy gold with your $3,300, A, they wouldn't have it. And the B is devaluation of the dollar. Because instead of costing you $20 to buy, I mean, can you imagine going into the bank and say, here's $20, I want to buy an ounce of gold? They'd laugh at you. They'd laugh at you because of the debasement, the devaluation of the dollar by the excessive printing, which is all part of the debasement of, or the watering down of the money. So your purchasing power of your fiat dollar has gone from £20 for an ounce of gold to $3,300 for that same ounce of gold. And I've used this example before, and I'll use it again. In Rome, you could buy a toga, sandals for an ounce of gold. Today, you could go into a good tailor's and buy a nice suit and shoes for an ounce of gold. The intrinsic value of the gold is exactly the same, but what we actually have is the amount of dollars produced and printed, watered down, like a cordial drink. You put some concentrate at the bottom of that cordial drink in a tall glass, and that's the real stuff. And then you add a bit of water, then you add a bit more water, and you add so much water till you can't taste the cordial anymore. That's where we are. You can't taste the cordial. So crypto is another watering down of the fiat currency of the dollar, and it's another devaluation or another amount of money creation out of fresh air that has watered down the fiat dollar, that's putting even more stress on the camel's back with the straw, because of the fact that they're derivatives of gold. Now we are going to see, I'm going to turn around now, you can see a couple of horse riders in the background. We are currently in this position where cryptos, in my opinion, are worth nothing. Yeah, that's a big statement. And you say, no, I could pull my Bitcoin out. I have a whole Bitcoin, or I've got 5 Bitcoin, got $500,000, 5 Bitcoin, $500,000. I'm rich, Gary. Okay, you're rich. Well done. Pull it out. Buy yourself what you're going to buy. Buy whatever you want. It's great. At the moment, you try and spend $500,000 on gold or silver. You tell me how easy that one goes. You tell me the government's going to stop you. You tell me the banks will stop you. Because they will. You won't be allowed to. You won't be able to change that fiat, fresh air money into something tangible and real value, real money. They might let you buy a house. That's what they let you do, isn't it? But that money was created out of fresh air, and so as far as I'm concerned, it's not real money. It's a derivative of the dollar that waters down the dollar even further. And at the moment, yes, you can draw it, and yes, you can spend it. But in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, when we get the financial crash, when the straw breaks the camel's back, what do you think your cryptos are going to be worth? What do you think they're going to be worth? Pennies in the pound. I think the dollar's purchasing power is something like 2 pence or 2 cents, 1 cent, 2 cents per dollar. So what, you're going to get 20 cents, $2 in value from $100,000 in Bitcoin? Just asking the question. I don't know. But if you had $500,000 worth of, or $1,000 worth of gold and silver, when that crash happens, not only are you not reliant on, if it's in your possession, it's in your possession obviously, and it should always be, are you reliant on the electricity working? Are you reliant on the servers working? Are you reliant on the banks not stealing your money? You know, the bail-ins are still a major thing. Bail-ins are still a major thing. What do we mean by bail-ins? Well, the law was changed, certainly in the UK, 3 years ago plus, very quietly, very, very quietly. So that when we have financial crises and crashes, what will happen is the banks, instead of being bailed out by the public, unless that bank happens to be full of rich people like the one that crashed in America that was bailed out because Oprah Winfrey and other satanic entities had their money in there. But there was another bank that collapsed. I think it was in Ohio. Owed $6 million. The bank collapsed. And the system allowed it to collapse and do the bail-in. And everybody who had money in that bank lost the majority of their money. Because you're an unsecured creditor. You don't own the money when it goes into the bank. It's the bank's property. There you go. So you're sitting there thinking, well, I've got loads of money in the bank, I'm all right. No, you're not. You don't own that money. Go to the bank tomorrow, ask to withdraw in cash. Not credits, cash. Or ask to withdraw the money, exchange it for gold or silver. If it's a good amount of money, they'll probably arrest you. They certainly do in the UK. A friend of mine went to a bank in the UK to draw £5,000 out in cash so her grandson could purchase a car. The bank took photographs of her grandson and ran checks on him, and they were locked basically into a room for 2 hours while the bank investigated their financial conduct and dealings. That's serious, that's just genuine. And then made them wait 2 or 3 extra days before they could get the money out. Probably because the bank didn't have the money, but because the bank didn't want to let them have the bank's money, because it's not theirs, it was the bank's. I've seen videos of people being arrested by the police and dragged out of banks when they demanded their money. Let's go down here. I think we're going to do a part 2 on this one because it's going on. Yeah, we're out of time. So what I shall do is the part 1 now, and then I shall do the part 2 straight after this as we keep going. So look for the next upload. Blessings, love, like and share, and thank you very much everybody. I'll catch you in a little while for part 2. Bye bye.